I mean, whatever you put in chat, we'll go after the class. Okay, so it's better you send it to me to info@radiusaphrexpert.com. All right, so let's come back, guys. Yesterday, what we discussed was we discussed about setting up employees in the system. We discussed about setting up your ratings and everything. Once you're done with ratings, the next thing that you need to do as part of your pre-work is to go and maintain the salary ranges, which we already completed yesterday. Once we discussed about the job code to pay grade mapping, we went and saw how we define the pay ranges in management. So just for those who could not recollect, so here when you go to compensation action for all plans, this is a place where we did that initial job code to pay grade mapping, and then this is where we upload the document. So this is simple. You just say create a document and then upload it. You can say multi-currency or local currency. Simple. So once you go inside, you just need to choose the Excel file that your document folder that I sent you yesterday has about pay ranges. It's document number 9. You just need to upload the document. Okay, so here what you have is the salary plan ranges. So each grade will have a range, and you see this attributes here, attribute 1, 2, 3. So what are these used for? Right now we're not going into the technical details, but since we see this here, attributes 1, 2, 3. So these are kind of combinations that will set them apart. Like for example, let's say you want to use your salary ranges as per country, which is very generic scenario. Obviously, every country will not have the same compensation range, even you belong to the same pay grade. Someone in US will be paid in USD. Let's say, for example, you get a salary 50,000 USD to let's say 120,000 USD in that range. That's something that's defined for US, right? Not for India. So if you are in India and if you're expecting similar amount of money, may not be good to kind of put them together in the same place. So how do you differentiate? Okay, so let's say for example you have a guy who is a consultant in India and there's a consultant in USA. Obviously they two have two different ranges of salaries. So for them, so you put H1, you put your range, okay, and then you put the attribute as USA here, whereas you put again H1 and then you put different salary range for India and then you put attribute as India. Okay, that's how you kind of differentiate using attributes. So attribute 1 to 3 could be all different attributes. You can use up to 3 attributes here. Okay, the point is you can have India, let's say, even in India you've got different departments which could be having different salaries. Let's say for example, someone in facilities, even though you are in, let's say, H1, and someone in consulting who is in H1 might not get the same salaries, right? So the department or whatever it is, if you are in two different departments, you might have different set of salary ranges. Someone from, let's say, consulting will have more salaries compared to someone who is in testing services, let's say, for example. So like that, I mean, you can put multiple attributes to differentiate your pay grades with the ranges. So each pay grade in a country will have different ranges. So when you see big companies implementing compensation, so you see these attributes playing a key role in defining the salaries in different countries. Is that clear? Okay, so let's come back to what we are doing yesterday. So this is all completed yesterday, to be honest, but I'm just trying to give you a recap. So now we'll go and we'll talk about the stock value tables. The stock value tables that you see here are used for your stock amounts or ratings. So if you go inside our stock, guys, please put yourself on mute. Guys, please understand there's a huge group of people, and if everyone starts putting, if everyone starts unmuting themselves, it's going to be huge. So please try to understand. Please put yourself on mute. Otherwise, I have to do it. That makes it a bit different for people. So anyway, so if you look at this one, this is the stock values. So this is the numbers. Okay. So what is the value of stock? What is the value of option? So these are the rates. Okay. So this is something that might be dynamic, but you freeze at a point where you want to include it. So this is not so important piece where we actually might not use this one every day, but you might be as well. So here is a place where you define stock and options. Okay, we are ready to go to each and every field that we have in compensation. So when we go there, when we go there, you'll understand a lot of things. So you upload it. And then you've got action for all plans where you define your currency conversion table. So this is important. So we discussed about this. So remember we discussed about multi-currency scenario. So you talked about functional currency, you talked about local currencies, you talked about planar currency. If all of them are different, how do you convert your local currency to functional currency or from functional currency to local currency? How do you do that? So there should be a currency conversion table maintained. It's not going to go to Google xe.com and pick the latest value from USD to INR and say this is what you get. Okay, so this is very important, guys. If you're working on multi-currency, you need to define your currency table. Okay, so this is a currency conversion table that I have. So if you look at this one, so you need to maintain currency conversion from one currency to another currency. So euro to USD, euro to Japan, euro to Canadian dollar, JPY to USD, and JPY to Canadian dollar, Canadian dollar to US dollar. So this is something that you need to define based on the currencies that you have. So someone asked me in a few last batch, I guess, I'm not sure when, but so how does this update by itself? As I said, it doesn't update by itself. It doesn't go to xe.com and bring the values. So how do you update your currency conversion in SAP? Anyone? In FICO, how do you update your currency? Because obviously you'll be dealing with this in any other ERP as well, right?
They will update the file for the, they follow the, there's a transaction for this where they have to upload this data. And people will just go with a background job where from the external side it updates directly to the SAP. But there are ways for updating this currencies.
You're talking about SF or SAP?
SAP, SAP.
SAP, I mean, you have a table called V underscore T CURR, if you remember.
Yes,
I use it
SAP
long
has
back.
a table that you can
CURR,
update. SAP
yes.
has a currency conversion table.
Sorry, Kanchan?
Also have, I'm saying SAP also have a currency conversion table where you can maintain the currency and the conversion.
But that's what I'm saying. So V underscore T CURR is a currency conversion table in SAP. So you maintain it in SAP. How often do you maintain it? Because currency conversion rates change every day, every second. Don't you agree?
Yes,
It's just like a
yes.
stock market, right? It just changes
Right.
every second. How do you update it?
There is like we integrate with the third-party system where it is upgrading the updating all the currency tables and all. So with that, there will be an interface created where it directly updates into the this TCURR table.
Are you
The
sure,
values.
Shiva? Or are you guessing?
No. This will be done. Ravi.
Okay, because usually in SAP, as per the global trade rules, what we have is usually your currencies are taken at the beginning of the month. For the next entire business month, the rate would be standard when you do these transactions from a business perspective
That's a
within the
good point.
company.
As you just mentioned that the currency values will be updated every start of the month, and the same value is going to be carried forward a complete working month.
Exactly. So you
Correct.
update it every month and you take the same value for the entire month. That's a standard in any
Or
other
even
SAP
even
implementation.
Provin, even not even month. I have seen a scenario where we updated once in 6 months.
Not that it, I mean, like again depends on the company. So
Yeah.
if you have a standard rule which says, okay, I'm taking it at 1 USD is equal to, let's say, $60, I mean sorry, 60 rupees, and you fix it. So
Yeah,
depends,
you
huh?
can fix it for 1 year, even whole year. You can use one value
Uh,
and use for the whole year.
that's usual standard trade practice is 1 month. Okay, so usual trade practice is 1 month, and that particular table needs to be updated. The why I want to bring the discussion is just to make you guys understand. Okay, the planning process might be let's say a couple of months process. Okay, couple of months activity. And if you look at this table, people started asking me, how do you update it from xe.com every second? No, I don't update it. At the beginning, when you freeze on, okay, this is the value for conversion, and that's how you treat it going forward. Okay, so that's how we work on it. Just to give you that background, okay, you don't update it, you just decide, freeze on the point where you need to have the currency conversion values. It could be anything that you take as a company, because this is for you, this is for your internal activity. So that's why so you just freeze on the amount of values that you need to use and then upload it here. So that will be used for the entire planning process. Is that clear, everyone? No more xe.coms, okay? All right, so once you have the currency conversion table, the next thing that we have is uploading your compensation document with your form ID. This is an important thing. Let me show you. Actually, there are two ways in which you can link your compensation form uh, to the, sorry, performance form to the compensation form. For that, just give me a second, guys. I just need to log into Succession. But remember, the problem is this is old. Whatever you're seeing here is old. This is not the latest way of updating. It's far more easier. Whatever we do here, you can make it a lot more easier than what it is currently. So let's say I go to form template administration. In the backend, every form that you upload, don't be surprised with the number of forms you might see here, because you know a lot of people practice in the system, so you see a lot of them. For example, you take performance review form, okay? So 2010 performance review form number 84, or you take 144 or 484. These are all performance forms. So this number that you see here, is a unique ID in the backend which actually stores the performance form. So end of the day, you might have multiple forms in the system. So you need to link the right performance form to your compensation template, right? Because you need to carry forward the ratings from this form to your compensation management. Agreed, everyone, why we're doing this activity? I mean, we are yet to do the activity, but just trying to give you what we're doing. So what we're doing here is we're going to link our performance management to compensation management. Till now we worked on performance management, saying, okay, this is how you rate the employees, this is how you upload your goals, this is how you do whatever, blah, 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 in performance. Now you have a performance rating. But this performance rating obviously has to be transferred to your compensation management. How do we do that? How do we link both of them? How do the ratings gets transferred to your compensation management is a question. So this is what we are doing. So you see here in the back end, from a template perspective, you've got an ID that you map. So this ID is a unique ID where this will be linked to your compensation management, which we'll do now. Okay. So let's let's go. I'll show you a different way also, but before that, let me open the document where I need the so I need the compensation review document here. Let me open it, guys. Okay, so let me. You see the compensation document, everyone? I mean the XML part. So what we do is we go to compensation form template. This is the XML template. So here in so in your rating source, you see this form ID is mapped. Here, let's say if your form ID from this place is 84, then you need to map 84. So currently it's mapped to 380, it's mapped to 364, 366. So maybe it's deactivated already, but any which way. So if you look at it, so this is 366, 365. Likewise, it's mapped to 364, which is not there, not available. So for that, you need to map it to the right source. What's above? Where is it? Okay, so here, see this one. So this is your compensation document. So it looks like this is not the right one any which ways. So for us to understand, so here you need to put the form ID as whatever you have within your within your performance or review document in that previous example. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll go and start uploading the form template. For that there is a problem before we go there. So there is the salary, there is a name that was missing which was throwing an error last time. So obviously I need, guys, this is the last time which I will go into our XML, because for compensation the XML part has been reduced to minimal. It's nominal, except for bonus calculation we don't come here anymore, because that's kind of reduced. Everything will be done from your front end itself going forward. I'm just searching because it will throw an error somewhere. Okay, that's fine any which way. So So here we are, we go to compensation, we're going to add a new compensation plan. So this is going to be the start of your compensation module. To start with, let's say this is 2015 July compensation. Okay, form. So I'm going to choose a form from the one that we just created. So it might throw an error, but let's see. See, it says the salary tab name is empty, bonus tab name cannot be empty, stock tab cannot be empty. So this is one of the errors I was talking about. There is a name that's missing. Uh, search for it. Hmm. Just let me search for it, guys. There is a place where this needs to be included. Huh? The tab has a name, so needs to be included somewhere. We'll talk about all these, guys, don't worry. I'm just looking for the, we'll start with creating it. So where is this define salary tab, definition, format.
Praveen, underneath that there is a salary tab information given. Just come down. Yes, still. Yes, you can see
Oh,
this, right?
here, yeah,
Compensation.
yeah, 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 I see. Thank you. So here, you see, this is something that's missing. This cannot be empty. So that's why it's throwing an error. Either you remove it completely or you put some data. So that's because the language is put there, but not where is bonus? That's bonus, right? So that's bonus. That should be a stock. Here, you see this? So this is what it is. This is error. So don't worry about this. This is something that would be usually fixed as part of your standard template that you get. So you'll get a standard template, okay, for the first time. Once you start working on this, you'll be downloading the latest one, and obviously you'll import it. So we have this file now, so we'll go back. So we'll try to upload our file again, 2015 July compensation, and I'll choose a file. Right, so this is a file, so we'll upload it. The file has been uploaded successfully, so your compensation form is now ready to use for you. Okay, so till now we just set the base for us, we just set the foundation for us. Now what we will do is we start working on compensation module. So whatever we did till now is a pre-work for you. Okay,
Praveen,
so what all things that you need to work on, what all you need to kind of check. So for example, now what I'll do before going into the technical aspects, let's first see how a form will look like. Okay, so how your forms will look like. Route map not defined, so we'll go back and define the route map and everything. In the first place, what you guys do is simple. Just define the route map, otherwise the form cannot travel anywhere. So I'll take this. So this is currency conversion, put something that's existing, the one that is there is not existing. So this is also not there, so put the right ones, you see. So proration and all will talk, don't worry. I'm just trying to put settings so that we can see a form in the first place, how it looks. So this is where usually we generate a form. This activity you will do 1,000 times during a course. Okay, so what
Praveen?
I'm doing is I'm showing you how a compensation form would actually look like once we generate. Someone had a question, sorry?
Uh, yes, Praveen. We didn't change the fiscal year date there. Does it
No,
have
we're
any impact on this?
still using 2010 because the data was there for 2010 in that demo system.
Fine, fine. Okay.
So remember guys, never ever put the person's name there. Always search here. Always come to search. Okay, this is Alan Thompson. I'm doing it for the head of planning only. That means I'm doing it only for this employee, not for in. No, if I don't check that box, what happens is the form will be triggered for all the people below him. That means all the managers below him will get a form triggered. That means everyone in that organization below him will have the compensation form. Okay, which is something that you can create ideal scenario, but for us it makes a lot of forms and it kind of floods our system. So I just want to avoid that piece. So that's why I'm generating for one, but I'll show you what happens when you generate for all the people as well. Okay, so now I'll launch the plan. The form has been launched. So this is what happens now. Just since we're talking about launching a form and how it generates, just let me tell you some real scenario here. Let's say I was working with a customer initially. They had two organizations within the main organization. So there is, let's say XYZ company and ABC company within the group ABC. Okay, there are two different types of organizations within the same organization. It's like a different group entity, different group company. But all of them comes under one CEO, right? So these guys all report to one guy at the end of the day. But there are guys who heads the other entities, and these two heads who actually head the organization will head um, sorry, there are two guys who is heading each of the organization, and let's say one guy who's heading ABC will also head the guy who is heading the other organization. That means this manager or the CEO of ABC is also the group CEO. Okay, that means when I generate the form for him, it will generate the form for all the people below him, which in turn mean it will generate for both ABC and XYZ organizations. So how do you avoid this case? Because let's say, for example, I have a XYZ organization with a different component structure, different pay component structures, and you've got ABC organization with a different compensation structure. So when I generate the form at a ABC level, it's also generating for XYZ, which I don't want to. How would you actually kind of define it? Because you've got a separate structure for people in XYZ and a separate structure for people in ABC. In technical terms, there are two different compensation that they use. XYZ uses a different template, ABC uses a different template for planning. Okay, so when I generate it from a head perspective, so it is generating for all the people the same compensation template, which is not the requirement. That's technical words. Okay, I'm using the technical wording now. So what solution we have is I generate the form for head of ABC and head of ABC. Sorry, what I do is I first generate the form for XYZ separately, and then what I'll do is I will generate the ABC form separately, not for the one who is actually heading both the organizations, but one level below. And from for this top guy, I will do only head of planning only. That makes the CEO of XYZ will have a component structure similar to what he has. So that's a kind of workaround. We don't have any other solution. Guys, you understand what I said, or is it a bouncer?
It's a bouncer. Can you please?
Okay, I see you have silence. Usually people are not silent. So,
Can you please explain on some scenario, real-time scenario on this?
that's what I'm saying. So I have, as I said, let's say I'm working
So
for.
if you can open the Word document, and if you can type it on that.
Maybe I'll come back. Okay, so let's first see the form just to get a feeling of what compensation template. Then I'll explain. Then you understand, maybe. So let's put this guy in front first and see what I'm talking about in the first place. I'll show you what is compensation template, and then maybe we'll talk about it. Okay, so I go to compensation. Right, so this is my compensation form. This is available at the employee level now. So there's a manager who is a planner, who's going to plan for his team. So all the direct reportees of Alan Thompson, you will see them here. Okay, so I rated down to a performance template, if you remember. So all these people are different people who are reporting to Alan Thompson, and you see that you've got the rating coming from your performance. If it's not rated, what you have to do is you have to go and define the rating like this. Okay, so there's something that I asked the team to do yesterday, if you guys can follow that. So this is okay, so this will bring the rating here once you launch it again next time, so that's fine. So this is what the link between this rating and your performance is. It's directly connected. And then you see proration factors, you see the local currency codes, and then you see the current salary, and then you see some other details like last increase date, and you also have compa ratio, range penetration. So what are these two, guys? What are these two used for? We discussed this multiple times till now. So what does comp ratio 100% means?
It's a check with the
It's
market
off of
value.
the land.
Hello?
So he's getting his market rate,
Yes.
Yes. Oh, no, no.
right? So anyway, so
Totally understand that way.
right. So if you look at it, so this is different fields that you see in their compensation template. So this is where you actually do the compensation planning for the employees. Okay, this is where you put your percentage merit and all. So lump sum values, adjustments, promotion that you want to perform, and you see the total increase after that. Okay, the total value of his salary and everything. And then if you look at this one, this is the salary sheet. You also have a bonus sheet. So this is where you see the bonus. We'll talk about it later, but you see what the employees have achieved and how much bonus they're getting. And you also see the stock sheet where you see what they're eligible for. So this is just a skeleton. Okay, we'll go into each of those and we define what they are and we define how they work. That's what is our compensation course is all about. So the compensation course that we're doing here is understand how these things work and what would be the impact of this work that you're doing. Okay, so now coming back to that scenario what I was talking about. So I was working with this customer. That was my first customer actually. So this customer had someone asked me to put it on paper, so I'll do that. Let me open. Can everyone see my screen?
Praveen, I have one question. You just mentioned that only one CEO for different organizations, right?
Sorry?
One CEO for the two different groups. Is it?
Yeah, I'm explaining that, yep. So you have a ABC group, which is at the so. Okay, so we have this one, and then within this ABC group, what I have is two group companies. Okay, so which are like this, and let's say this is ABC again, and this is XYZ. Okay, so this is XYZ, and this is ABC. This ABC group, can I go down? Okay. So what the point is, ABC has one form template with a different set of components compared to, so let's say they have a form template called A, and XYZ has a different form template. As I said, if I actually generate the form template from the head of this organization level, okay, so what happens is for all the people below him, the form will be generated. So XYZ group, entire XYZ group below him will have the same form template A. But the requirement is XYZ has a different form template. So what we do is we generate a separate form B first for XYZ from the top of from the boss of XYZ level. So we put the boss of XYZ as a head of planning, and then we generate. That means all the people below him will have form B. Whereas once we come, so what we do is we'll generate a form for ABC. But the problem is when I generate it for the head of ABC, uh, you see that all the people below XYZ are also following them. So that means there would be two form templates for both of them. Sorry, for XYZ employees, which is not right. What we need to do is we need to come one step down to ABC's bosses. That means all the people below the boss of ABC, you generate for them separately. That means all the people below him will get the ABC form, A form at least. And then at the ABC boss level, who actually have reportees from XYZ, the boss of XYZ and the boss of ABC, who reports to the top guy, we do for head of planning only. Remember, once I generated, I said it's for head of planning only. That's why we only have one form that will be generated only for the direct reportees of the guy, not the whole structure. There we kind of conclude where, let's say, the boss of XYZ will have the compensation structure from ABC but not XYZ. That's the only drawback in this way of approach. This is I don't know, guys, if you kind of follow what I'm saying, but I see silence, so this is usually not the case with this group. So let me quickly go to compensation, or maybe we can talk about it a bit later. I mean, once we are there. If you guys feel it's a bit early to talk about customer specific, so we can talk it. I mean, we can talk about it a bit later. If you look at it, what I'm saying is the version 1 form. If you look at version 1 form, since I selected head of planning only, the form is generated for Alan Thompson, who is heading the organization only. That means only the direct reportees of Alan Thompson will be there in that particular form. Whereas, let's say I create 2015 July compensation version 02 and put instead of that, so always find employee, don't type anywhere, always always search. It will not generate. So I don't check this box. Okay, I'm not checking the box. What happens? Let's see. I'll explain then. So I did not check this box, which I did before, and when I check this box, you only see the form getting generated for Alan Thompson, right? Is this clear what I did till now, guys? I'm just trying to talking about generation. I generated the form with this checkbox and without this checkbox for Alan Thompson. When I selected the checkbox, when I checked that checkbox, what happened was the form is generated only for that guy. Now what happens? Let's see. You see what happened? Version 2. See what happened? What's the difference between version 1 and version 2? What's the difference between version 1 and version 2?
Version 2, it has generated for all the direct reports.
And along with Alan Thompson.
So it's like all the managers who are below Alan Thompson will have this form generated, not just the direct reports of Alan Thompson. All the managers below him, whoever has a direct report, under Alan Thompson. For all of them, the form will be generated.
This is a separate form, right? Form 2?
Yes.
Okay. And form 1 got assigned to Alan Thompson alone.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what I was talking about. So once we have these scenarios where you have multiple
Praveen?
templates under one person, you need to be a bit careful how you generate the forms.
Praveen, you
You see
mean to
what I
say
mean?
is that Praveen, you mean to say is that for version 2, the plan is generated for the entire
Organization.
cascaded organization, right?
Exactly. The whole organization, all the managers, the form will be generated when I don't select the checkbox.
Okay, thank you.
So usually when you launch the form, right, you launch for the whole organization at a time.
Yes, this is the real-time scenario, right? You need to
Yes.
generate for all of them.
Right. So generates for all the managers. But you see what I mean about the scenario that I face. The complexity of that scenario is really, it's a very impacting situation for the customer as well, because that's a huge decision. The head of the other organization has to take the compensation structure of the whole or the bigger organization, but not the one that he actually works for. You see what I'm talking about in this example of ABC and XYZ. This has a different form template and this has a different form template. If I actually generate the form from here, all the organization will have the same form, which is not the requirement. This group has a different set of form compared to this group. You understand, guys, what I'm talking?
Yeah.
Yes.
So in order to avoid that scenario, what I'm doing is I do the compensation planning from the head of XYZ level. That means the head of XYZ will plan for all his direct reports. So it goes from that level down. But the actual head of plan, whatever, the head of organization for XYZ will also have a compensation structure which needs to be defined by his boss, right? That guy is actually reporting to ABC. When I generate the form for this boss of ABC only, he will be part of the plan template, even though he's not supposed to have some components. That's
So,
why the head of this
so,
guy, head of this organization XYZ will be following their structure rather than his structure. That's what the scenario or solution is. Only for that
but,
guy.
but XYZ was having two templates, right? The back.
No, he will not. He will only have, see,
So
for him, the planning will be done by his manager.
okay.
You
Okay.
understand?
Yeah.
Alan
Yes,
Thompson
sir.
is not doing compensation planning for himself. He's doing it for his reportees.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Is that clear, guys? What I'm talking?
Yeah.
So Praveen, in this case, we have to generate three forms, right?
Yes, you're right. You need to generate it thrice. One
Right. Yeah.
at the head of XYZ level. Other is one level down below the head of ABC. Okay, we generated one level below him for all the people, and one we generate only for head of planning at the head of ABC level.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so that means you need to generate it thrice.
So Praveen, I do have one doubt here. Like in ABC organization, the head of the department is one guy, and under him there are 5 to 6 direct reportees. So you are saying n minus one. So under head, you need to generate the form for all the managers. You are saying.
Yeah, usually generate for the whole organization, right? So let's say if under this guy, let's say I put Vinay, okay? So Vinay is the head. Let's say this one will give to some. Okay, let's say Anna is within ABC group. Okay, there are different guy. Let's say here you have a different guy who's heading this one. is something. Okay, so here if you look at this, I have to generate the form. This is just a tentative example. Okay, don't go by the literal things. Okay, don't say this guy is not this. So what I do is I generate the form for Anna first separately and Praja separately. Then I come to Vinay, who is heading the whole group, but I generate it only for him, only for head of planning, which will have Anna and Praja. Okay, you do it only for these two people. So Anna has to take the form template of whatever you guys have. Even though she's from a different organization, she has to take the comp structure from you guys. Is that clear?
Yes.
It's a bit tricky, but and also it's a big decision for a customer.
I have one question here. For example, if Anna created one form, that form will not applicable for Anna, or only it will applicable for under who reporting to Anna only.
So for you, let's say your manager is doing it, right? So for a manager, usually it says report is that he do the planning. He cannot do it for himself, the compensation planning.
Okay,
So
for example,
Anna is a manager here, okay? The top boss of XYZ.
okay, and I have another scenario here. If under Anna also there is another manager, how we can create for this form?
That's what I said. So we don't check that head of planning only box for Anna and Praja. It will be for all the people below them. So once I generate the form for Anna, without checking that box, it will generate for the whole organization below Anna. You understand?
Actually, my question is, for example, in under ABC, there are XYZ is there and ABC, another ABC is there. My question is, under XYZ also, there are another PQR like that, some other group is there. In that group also, one of the manager is heading, and under that manager there are some reportees are there. If for this,
So, for example, just now we generated for Alan Thompson. And the form is generated for all the managers below Alan Thompson in version 2. Right? So that's the point. So once we generate for all the organization. For all the managers below Anna, the form will be same.
Praveen, I just wanted to put a break here. Praveen, for ABC group, say we have named it as a Vinay, okay? And underneath that we have XYZ and ABC.
Right.
The intention why we have taken two templates because of the components which we have. They are different than each companies. Okay?
Right.
So for XYZ we have a different component and ABC a different component. So as the example said by you, in ABC XYZ, Anna don't get that template, but underneath Anna, the employees who are reportees of Anna will be having the XYZ template, right?
Exactly. You were right.
And under ABC, we are just going one level down. Say for example, under Praja, we are creating a form which is relevant to the ABC component groups.
Exactly.
Okay. Now the question here is, does the top level Vinay is holding the both components of XYZ and ABC?
No. He's holding ABC, right? That's a requirement actually. If you see.
No. My question is, does ABC group that the Vinay is having both the forms which are relevant to XYZ and ABC, like the components under the for XYZ and ABC, because Anna don't have a form and Praja don't have a form, but these two people should is having a different kind of sets forms. You understand?
You see the color.
Components.
You see the color. The color itself is talking about what they actually are. So both of these people have the same components. And XYZ is a different components or different set organization. Let's say they acquired it. Okay, so they're still unable to come to the harmonized structure between the organizations. So XYZ was acquired from a different organization by ABC some time back, and they're still working
So,
to make it
so
together.
XYZ will be forced to use ABC components.
Right. So Vinay will also have the same ABC components because he's not part of XYZ or ABC. He's all sorry. He's part of ABC. When I say ABC group or ABC, it's the same. The one who
So
is heading
Praveen,
ABC is also heading XYZ overall.
Praveen, Anna will be also having the same form as Vinay and Praja having,
Exactly.
relevant to.
That's the whole set. Yeah, you're right. As an employee, Anna will have the components from ABC instead of his organization.
Oh. Then in such case, say for example, let's take an example like under ANA there might be some components, say as a basic HRA, some kind of a components, and under Vinay we have some component additionally called special allowances. So if ANA is also getting that component, then ANA is only the beneficiary. Under ANA, then the people are not.
Oh yeah, of course, your executives are always beneficial, huh? And not really. So you don't talk about basic or